Okay, so now let's look at how you'd actually find the price and quantity of both corn and wheat in general equilibrium, if those are the two markets you're considering. Okay, so here I show the demand for corn, the supply of corn, the demand for wheat, and the supply of wheat. Now you'll notice that the demand for corn has the price of wheat in there. And that reflects that there are these linkages between the markets, that the demand for corn is increasing in the price of wheat, which is a substitute product. Likewise, the demand for wheat is increasing in the price of corn. Okay. So the way we're going to solve this problem is we're going to set demand equal to supply in both markets. And there's going to be an additional step because the demand for one of the products depends on the price of it and the other product. So let's start here. I can just copy this. I can say that the demand for corn, which is equal to this, is equal to the supply of corn, which is simply equal to its price. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to solve this for the price of corn. If you add the price of corn to both sides, you'll get 20 plus the price of wheat is equal to 2 times the price of corn. And if you divide both sides by 2, you will get that 10 plus the price of wheat divided by 2 is equal to the price of corn. Now notice, setting demand equal to supply did not give us a numerical answer for the price of corn. Rather, to get the price of corn in equilibrium, we're going to need to know the price of wheat. So let's start by doing the same thing for wheat. So we can write down in the wheat market that demand is equal to supply, where again, the supply of wheat, quantity of wheat supplied is just equal to its price in this example. And if you go through the same steps to solve this problem, you would get that the price of wheat is equal to 10 plus the price of corn divided by 2. Skipped a few steps there, but you can go back and verify. Okay. Again, the price of wheat is not entirely determined by setting demand equal to supply in the wheat market because the demand for wheat also depended on the price of corn. When we're looking for what happens in general equilibrium, we want both demand to be equal to supply in the market for corn and for demand to be equal to supply in the market for wheat. That is, we want this equation to hold and we want this equation to hold. When that occurs, both markets will be in equilibrium given the price in the other market. So we're left with the same math problem that we often have. We have 2 equations and 2 unknowns, the price of wheat and the price of corn. We have to solve these 2 equations for the 2 unknowns. Okay, so let's start by plugging one into the other. So we could say the price of wheat is equal to 10 plus the price of corn divided by 2, where we know that the price of corn from this first equation is equal to 10 plus the price of wheat divided by 2. So we can plug that in there. Now we have an equation which only depends on one variable, the price of wheat. So we can solve. So we have the price of wheat is equal to 10 plus 5 plus the price of wheat divided by 4. If we subtract 1/4 times the price of wheat from both sides, we will get 3/4 times the price of wheat is equal to 10 plus 5, which is 15. And if we multiply both sides by 4/3, we get that the price of wheat is equal to 4/3 times 15, which is equal to 20. We could go back and get the price of corn, right? We plug this value of 20 into this equation here. And if you do that, you would get that the price of corn is also 20. And you can then plug back into demand function or the supply function in either market to get the corresponding quantity of corn and wheat transacted. Okay. So that's how you would solve this problem. You might ask, how would you figure out what would happen if there were a demand shock like the one that we talked about earlier? Okay. What would happen then in that example is that the demand for corn would change. Rather than the intercept being 20, it might become 30 to reflect the new increased demand for corn. Okay. And then what you would do is you would go through all the same steps that I went through down here, but with the new demand function and solve it there. And that would tell you what the new general equilibrium would be sort of after you've gone through all those sort of back and forth steps. Now, in this problem, we assumed that markets were demand side linked. You could alternatively consider the case where they're supply side linked. If they were supply side linked, then the price of the other product would appear in the supply equation. You could actually have them both demand and supply side linked. The general steps for solving this problem are the same. You set demand equal to supply in each market. You will get two equations, and then you can solve those two equations for the two unknowns to solve for the prices in general equilibrium